Manchester United 3, Bournemouth 0. Another victory when Arsenal and Newcastle drew today. So it was vital, absolutely essential that United got the win, and they did. It wasn't a pretty game, and that is something that I've said many times this season, but United got the job done. There is a lot to get into today. There's a lot to talk about today. We had Maguire and Lindelof starting, I think, for the first time this season, maybe for the first time this season. We had once again a good performance from Casemiro. He's given that 7 out of 10 every game that we need. We need consistent footballers. We're going to talk about Casemiro's performance today. We're going to talk about Luke Shaw's performance today. Listen, I criticize Luke Shaw a lot, but when you have to give credit, just give it. He played well today, and do you know what? He might be my man of the match today. But we're going to get into it. Not all the performances were good. Bruno had an off game today. Martial didn't take his chances. So we do have to talk about these things. There is a lot to talk about. Like I said, not the best game. I watched the Arsenal game at the same time, and the way that Arsenal were playing with speed and intensity, it made me think we are still way off. We're still way off, but we are getting there. And like I said, we had to win today. We won today, which is good. If you're not... Before we get into it, because like I said, there is a lot to get into, guys. Before we get into the analysis of today's game, the breakdown of today's game, please, guys, smash the like, turn on the notifications, and if you haven't yet subscribed, do the damn thing. Subscribe below. It's a brand new channel. All I do is give my breakdown, give my thoughts of the game. Every United game I'll be watching, whenever it is, I'll be watching and giving you guys my thoughts, my 2 cents, basically, on the game. So, without further ado, as usual, guys, thank you for joining. Hope you've had a good day, good week, good year. 2023 has started. So let's do it, man. Let's start this with a bang, and United have started it with a bang. So yeah, let's get into it, guys. As usual, let's talk about the lineup. Let's get through the lineup first to see whether you agree or disagree with the lineup and who should have played and all these things. I don't mind the lineup. I think the lineup was fine. I was surprised to see Lindelof and Maguire starting at the back and not Martinez, but of course he's coming back from the World Cup, so I understand. Ten Hag has been playing Luke Shaw at centre-back ahead of Maguire, and that is concerning, not for me personally, but definitely concerning for Maguire that Luke Shaw has been starting ahead of him. So it was, to see Maguire and Lindelof, which is our first choice back four under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, a first choice back four that we know in the Premier League lacks pace and they lack the intensity that is required. We know this, so I was a bit concerned, if I'm being honest. Bringing Luke Shaw at left back and finding Luke Shaw at left back, that is his position. My problems or my issues with Luke Shaw in the past have never been his technical ability. It's never been his ability to do anything. It's been his will. It's been here. Luke Shaw doesn't like to bomb forward. He's very cagey. He's very soft. And maybe, and I've said this many times, it might be down to the injuries he's had. He's suffered many, many bad injuries, and that does take a toll on your mind. So I do criticize Luke Shaw a lot because I know what he's capable of. He's a good dribbler. He's quick. He's a good footballer technically. He's just up here. He just lacks sometimes a motivation. And in fact, if you're going to call a footballer lazy, it's not Martial, it's not any of the Freds, it's not those players. If you're going to really call a footballer lazy, and I don't think you should call him lazy, but if you are going to call a footballer lazy, it will be Shaw. It will be Luke Shaw. But, Luke Shaw at left back, he's gone back to left back. Casemiro and Eriksen are centre mid pairing. I think that is going to be our centre mid pairing for the rest of the season. I said before in my other stream that Eriksen seems to be falling off a little bit. Casemiro is giving that solid 7 out of 10 now, whereas Eriksen is doing this. And the rest of the squad or rest of the team is doing this. 6 out of 10, one game. 7 out of 10, one game. 5 out of 10, one game. We need more players to just have that consistency. Casemiro is world class. He's world class, so he's going to give you that consistency. Bruno started on the right wing, which is quite interesting. We didn't go with Garnacho. I think it's good not to go with Garnacho. Garnacho started a lot of games recently. He needs to be taken out of the team sometimes. And I think Bruno, not today, by the way, but in general, he works off the right. He works off the right because it limits his game. When Bruno's got too much to do, too much to think about, too many options, a lot of times he does something silly, does a little flick or something. When he plays on the right, like I said, not today, but usually when I've seen him play on the right, he keeps his game and he simplifies his game because he doesn't have, no one on the right to pass to. He just has the infield to look at. Rashford on the left, Martial up front, and Donny van der Beek, everybody. Donny van der Beek made a start. We got to talk about Donny van der Beek as well, guys. We have to, because he's been given opportunity after opportunity, and I've made excuses for him a lot, saying, it's a team that's not playing well. It's a team that's not being cohesive. He's on a different wavelength to everyone else. The way he plays football, he's occupying spaces and he's moving into spaces that some of our players just can't see. They're not quick enough to find him. So it's not him per se, it's us. However, Donny had to take accountability as well. He's got to get into the game. He's got to drop deep. He's got to move around. He's got to get into the space and try to find the ball in order to influence the game as a number 10. He has to. He has to try to do that. So I was happy to see him start. But as we talk about the game, and we are going to talk about the game now, he did not have a good game today as well. He just was not present. But anyway, let's get into it. I've said this many times. When United start games, we don't start games with the required intensity. We never do. We start games so slowly. As I said before, I was watching an Arsenal game. Arsenal from minute one chase the ball down. Every player is just hustling you and harrying you. We don't do that. We start very lackadaisical. Every game, whether it's the first half or the second half, we don't just go straight at it. We don't do that. After like 17 minutes of watching the game, I thought to myself, well, first of all, within the first 12 minutes, Bruno tried to flick on the left-hand side. He literally tried to flick on the left-hand side of the pitch when he was approaching the box rather than simply passing it. And I was thinking, why did he do that? Why did he flick it when he could have easily just passed it to the player? We weren't moving the ball quick enough in the first 20 minutes. We weren't moving the ball quick enough. We weren't pressing with, like I said, with the intensity. We pressed high up the field. We did that. Yes, we did that. The defenders moved up. Strikers moved up. So we contained them, or we pressed high up the field, but we didn't press them when they had the ball. We didn't harry them when they had the ball. They were quite comfortable. And that, to me, is a bit disappointing. And the reason why it's a bit disappointing is because in pre-season, one thing that we did is press very well. And the one thing that we know in the modern game, especially the way that Liverpool play, you don't need tiki-taka to play tiki-taka football and, have incisive passing to win games if you can win the ball back from the defense. Because a lot of goals now are not scored by playing beautiful football. A lot of goals now are scored by pressing really, really well, winning the ball back in their last third, or in your final, whatever you want to call it, winning the ball back and scoring. And we just need to get better at that. Without Ronaldo and with Martial, we need to start pressing more. We can't say, Ronaldo doesn't press. We can't press without Ronaldo, or with Ronaldo. And then now he's gone, we're still not pressing. We got to start pressing, I think. Like I said, the first 20 minutes, Bruno was frustrating. He lost the ball 2 or 3 times. And not just lost the ball, he lost the ball, in my opinion, in unnecessary situations where he could just keep it simple. Bruno, he frustrates. He does. And like I said, the first 20 minutes, we didn't play well, but we still scored. We scored on the 23rd minute when Eriksen, I believe, took the free kick and Casemiro came up with the goods. Great cross from Eriksen, great free kick. And we got to talk about how dangerous Casemiro is in the box. There's one thing I've noticed about Casemiro is in the 6-yard box, at set pieces, But on set pieces, he is a nemesis. He is dangerous. He's strong. He's always there or thereabouts or getting involved when it comes to set pieces. I didn't know about him either. And there's a lot of us who watched Casemiro from Real Madrid and now understand that Casemiro almost played within himself a little bit at Real Madrid because he didn't need to spray the ball around. He didn't need to do a lot of the things that he's doing now because he had Modric and he had Cruz. Now you're seeing Casemiro play with 2 feet, spray the ball around the midfield like his name is Paul Pogba. It's crazy what we're seeing with that Casemiro. It's not crazy, but it's so important that he's doing that because he's not just a simple Kante type defender. You know, he can also pass the ball. He can also score. He's a really, really, really good defensive midfielder. And speaking of Casemiro, we have to talk more about him because I am so impressed by this guy. His ability to pass the ball out from the back, his ability to evade the press with a first-time pass, it's some of the best I've seen. Pogba will evade the press by literally evading the press by skipping past the player, right? Or sometimes Pogba will beat the press by doing a first-time pass. But Casemiro can't beat a player. He can't do that. So Casemiro has to play with speed. He has to know what's behind him. He has to be able to do that. Otherwise, he's going to be tackled. He's going to be intercepted. So what Casemiro does really well is when he has the ball, when he receives the ball, facing his own goalkeeper, he looks behind him. And as we saw in the game today, he's very good at knowing what's behind him and doing a first-time pass to Bruno. First-time pass to Rashford. That is really, really, that's the intelligence. That's the football intelligence that we don't like to talk about. The ability to swivel. Bang, first time. And where sometimes Bruno will try a first-time pass and it will just go out of play or Bruno will hit it too hard. When have you ever seen Casemiro pass the ball or perform any sort of first-time pass and it goes out of play or it goes way over the guy's head? There was a pass he made to, I think, Aaron Wan-Bissaka when Aaron was in the middle, the centre circle. First-time pass. And I think that the commentator said Casemiro didn't mean it. And then later on in the game, Casemiro did again, another first-time pass with his back to the player. Listen, the guy means it. The guy fucking means it. Put some respect on his damn name. Great game again, Casemiro. We're going to talk a bit more about him. And he also won a free kick around in the 35th minute on the edge of our box. So not only is he sweeping up, and he did commit a few fouls as well today, but he's getting forward and he's making incisive passes and now he's scoring. This guy, and he's only 30, so I'm hoping we've got 3, 4, 5 years left of Casemiro. He's our best player. I'm putting my head up now. I'm sticking my head up. Casemiro is United's best player. We move. Let's talk about it. So, yeah. Rashford and Bruno, they were swapping positions. I think they swapped positions around the 35th mark, 35th minute. I think Rashford was definitely doing more damage. He was a much more of a threat than Bruno on the right wing. Bruno did not have a good game when he was on the right. In the first half, he was not good. Rashford wasn't that great either, but I just felt Rashford had more of a threat about him. He carried more of a threat when he had the ball. And that sort of leads me on to Donny van de Beek. So today I was watching Donny van de Beek, and many of the times, and I watch Bruno as well when Bruno plays number 10. It's very hard to play number 10, especially when the team you're facing is sitting deep and playing with a low block. Because number 10, you're trying to find the space, right? You're trying to move between the lines. Woo, sirens. You're trying to move between the passing lanes to receive the ball. And as a number 10, what you really want to do, you want to get space, find space to receive the ball and turn. That's kind of what you really want to do. You want to face your own goal. I just don't think Donny van de Beek was doing enough to move and get into space because Bruno frustrates me a lot, especially when he vacates that space, that number 10 space, and he runs beyond Martial and he tries to play like a striker. So we don't have nobody in that space, or Martial has to drop and to pick the ball up. So Bruno does frustrate me, but Donny just needed to do more. And like I said, many times I've said, you know what? We're not spotting Donny's runs. We're not utilizing him. We're not understanding his moving and all these things. But at the same time, Donny, he has to do more to affect the game when he's not getting his way. And that's something that Bruno, as much as Bruno frustrates me, when Bruno is not playing well, you still notice him because he's still trying to affect the game. Even though he's not playing well, he doesn't hide. Fred doesn't hide. But Donny, for me, he hides a little bit. And that's my problem with him. And it's a shame that he had to go off injured today. But Garnacho came on and the kid played decently well. We're going to talk about Garnacho later on as well, his performance in the second half. But all in all, the first half was scrappy. We didn't play with the required intensity, but we got our goal. United got the goal. And of course, as you can imagine, that's all that matters, right? Second half, we actually, funny enough, I started talking about how we start slowly. Funny, in the second half, we started quickly. We actually started quickly in the second half. And in fact, Luke Shaw scored within the first few minutes of the second half. And funny enough, as I said before, my criticism of Luke Shaw is not his ability or his technical ability to do anything, to pass the ball, to run, to dribble, to shoot. No, it's his aptitude, it's his mental attitude and aptitude and application. That is what frustrates me about Luke Shaw. And he doesn't drive forward in the way that I know he can. This guy's quick. When we first got Luke Shaw, before he broke his leg a million times, this guy was quick down the left. Now he's not as quick, but the goal he scored today. Let's talk about the goal he scored today, because this kid, he picked the ball up from Rashford and he drove. You can argue the Bournemouth player could have pulled him down, perhaps should have pulled him down. But the determination and the ability to dribble with the ball. Luke Shaw's a better dribbler than most of our wingers. Let's be honest. He is. He can actually dribble the ball. But that run he made, pass to Bruno. Bruno gave it to Garnacho. The move was just fluid. Garnacho back to Luke Shaw. I think was a right foot finish. Goal. Great goal by Luke Shaw. He started the move in his half, ran all the way towards the opposition box, ended up in the opposition box to score a goal. And that is what I'm talking about, Luke Shaw. I've criticised you, and I will. If you play rubbish, I'll criticise you again. But when you play well, I will praise you, bro. And today you had a good game. Good game, Luke Shaw. Potentially my man in the match. Great goal. And we move. We had another chance around the 54th minute. And Anthony Martial today, while a lot of people, I reckon, will criticise him for not scoring, and I do think he should have scored today. Don't get me wrong, he should have scored today. But I just don't want people to forget what he brings. Don't forget, this game with Ronaldo could have been 1-0 Bournemouth. Because towards the end of the game, Bournemouth kept shooting and they had a few chances to score. So still, Martial's ability to move, hold the ball up and bring others into play outweighs his goals. However, he does need to score goals. He's a striker. He does need to score goals. So, Martial, he played okay today, but wasn't one of his greatest game. I need more conviction from him. I think twice he leaped for a header and he missed. And it happens. We've seen Rashford miss loads of headers from close range. It happens. And I think Martial will come good and he will continue to improve. So I don't want people to just get excited and be like, oh, Martial's crap, so much. No. He didn't have the best of games today, but he wasn't completely terrible. But as I mentioned before, towards the end of the game, 60th minute mark, Bournemouth started getting into the game. They started moving the ball around a bit more. The game started to get stretched. They had to score. They had to come out and score because we were winning 2-0. So the game became more open because of that. We made subs. Dalot, Fred, and Elanga came on for Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Eriksen, and Martial. Which is, I always say we need to wrap Martial in cotton wool. We do. So I'm fine with those subs. Elanga is not my cup of tea. I've said Eriksen has been falling off recently. And I don't mean he's been playing terribly. I just noticed a big difference in the performance levels between Casemiro and Eriksen, and it shows. And it wasn't like that towards at the beginning of the season. Eriksen had a few bad games, like the Bournemouth fixture before, but he improved. But recently, Eriksen has fallen off a little bit. For me, he's not playing confidently. He's not playing the ball forward enough. He's playing very conservatively. But it's a different game for Eriksen. Eriksen's number 10, and he's been asked to play more conservatively. So I understand that, but he has fallen off a little bit. I'm happy to see AWB and Wan-Bissaka get a run in the game. Everyone thinks AWB is finished, and he probably is finished. His career at United probably is over, I think, anyway, because it seems as if Ten Hag is looking for another right back. But do you know what about AWB? What he lacks in technical ability and what he lacks in, for me, football intelligence, you can't take away his heart, his desire, and his effort. You can't. So, AWB, if I don't see you again the rest of the season, because Dallow's back now, well done. The last 2 or 3 games, you've played well. Well done, lad. So yeah, the game, last 20 minutes, the game was open. Bournemouth attacking. We were attacking, but we just weren't as clinical until Garnacho hit the post. And then 7 minutes after Garnacho hit the post, we scored again. And this goal, we've got to talk about this goal. And this is why Luke Shaw might be my man in the match, because the ball to Bruno, that ball to Bruno was perfect. And I'm happy that Bruno passed to Rashford, because I was thinking, Bruno, please, just first time, side foot it and just give it to Rashford. Please, Bruno, don't shoot. Don't do any flicks. Don't, please. And he did it. First time, he kept it simple. Pass it to Rashford. One touch. Go. 3-0. Excuse me, guys. 3-0. Game's a wrap. And that's how it ended. The game trickled down, or I guess, fizzled out towards the end of the game. But in general, it wasn't the greatest game. It wasn't, but that didn't matter. That didn't matter, guys. United won today, 3-0. We're closing the gap, slowly but surely. We've got to take these little points. We have to. So we closed 2 points on Newcastle and Arsenal, and we move. We keep moving. We keep moving, guys. Not a pretty game, but United won. My man in the match today is between Casemiro and Luke Shaw. Casemiro, the problem, like I said, not the problem. There's no problem, but with Casemiro, he's always going to be contention. It seems as if he's always going to be in contention for the Man of the Match award because of the level of his performances all the time. 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. Whereas other players will have a stinker. How many stinkers has Casemiro had since he's been here? Not one. The first game he didn't play that well, but after that, he kept getting better and better and better, and he's been consistent. Rashford's been inconsistent. Sometimes, some games, Rashford plays really badly, and then he turns up with a goal. We know about Bruno's inconsistency. He's very frustrating. But you just don't get that. You don't get that with Casemiro. You don't. You do not. But I'm going to give it to Luke Shaw. I'm going to give it to Luke Shaw today because he, not only did he score a goal today, his goal to Bruno, for me, was a real assist. That ball was just beautiful. He's man of the match today. Ten Hag did well. He's thing with Ten Hag that I like, he makes his 60 minutes or 70 minute substitutions. He freshens the game up. He brings Fred on for Eriksen when Eriksen's getting tired and Eriksen's getting old. Eriksen has heart, lung problems or whatever. He makes his changes at the right time as opposed to Oli. Oli was watching us play in the Europa League final and didn't make one single sub for the whole Europa League final. Come on. So I like Ten Hag. I like what he's doing. Sometimes I feel like it's one step forward and 2 steps back in terms of the way we are playing football, especially when I look at Arsenal and whatnot. But I understand that it's progress. Sometimes in some games we're not going to play well. We're not. We need to understand that. And today was all about the win. We just had to win. If Arsenal drew and Newcastle drew, we just had to win, and we did. United did. So, there you have it, guys. Luke Shaw, my man in the match. Maguire played decently. I've got no qualms with Maguire and Lindelof. Martinez had a great ovation when he came on as the World Cup winner. Yeah. On we go. Garnacho. He's starting to get better. He's starting to get better. I need to start looking at his decision making. I always say, listen, the best players are the players who make the right choices. That's it. All you got to do is make the right choice. When you have the ball, are you going to dribble or are you going to pass? Just make the right decision. That's all you got to do. You don't need to be a flashy footballer or the best footballer in the world. You just need to have the IQ to know when to dribble, when not to dribble, when to pass, when not to pass. Rashford is one of those players that I always say that he's a very instinctive footballer. He plays with confidence. However, he plays with his head down. He dribbles with his head down. He doesn't look up. He runs into traffic a lot of the times. He does not have the greatest football IQ. Saka has a better footballing IQ than Rashford, and Saka's only 20 or 21 or whatever. But Rashford has that physical ability to burst past players and has the skill and the speed. That's what he has. And now, what Rashford's adding to his game, I said this in my last video, he scored 2 headers this season. And 3 seasons ago, when Rashford was heading the ball, he would just close his eyes. Now, he's just giving those bullet headers. 2 bullet headers he scored this season. So, Ten Hag is making Rashford better. He is slowly improving. Whether Rashford can improve in some of the fundamental technical things, which, well, I said that, but he's improving his heading. So I've said he's improving his heading. So technically speaking, some of the football fundamentals that I've criticised Rashford for, like his heading, he's improved. So, give credit once again where credit is due. I criticise Rashford a lot. He has been playing better this season. And I just hope, as a United fan, United supporter, that he continues to improve, because on his day, he can be unplayable on his day. We've seen it. So there you have it, guys. There you have it. Hope you've enjoyed the video. I think I've spoken a lot today about United. But yeah, thanks for joining me, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Smash the like, turn on your notifications, subscribe, share the video, grow this damn channel. Give me your opinions, man. Please, man. I just want to hear somebody. Let me know what you think about the game. Comment below. Do you agree with my man of the match award to Luke Shaw? Who do you think played well? Where do you think the improvement should be? What was your sort of analysis of the game? Just let me know. Comment, man. Let's get some dialogue going. Thank you guys for joining me, and have a good week, guys. Peace. If you're not